Since I have now gotten a decent amount of sleep, I can cover what happened on the last day. Well, actually, that was Tuesday, but Tuesday was originally going to be the last day of the trip, the traveling home, but that changed, and I will explain why. So Tuesday started at 4:15 a.m. That's when I got up because the plan was to leave at 4:30 a.m., which we came close to. I think we left around about 4:45, which with a 7 o'clock flight, that's plenty of time, or so I thought. Yeah, getting on the road, there was like traffic slowed down and went to red, and you just thought, okay, it's slow because of fog. And we knew about the fog, but this was really bad fog. This was the kind that, well, causes accidents. And unfortunately, yeah, there was an accident. It stopped traffic for, a long, long time. There were times where you just go, there was 10 minutes of not even anything. And then when you did get to move, it was like 15 feet. It was just awful. I mean, imagine if people had coffee, too much coffee, or upset stomachs. That would have just been a really bad situation because, yeah, you'd be off. I mean, look, there's woods on the side of the road, or like, swamp. But yeah, so that meant canceling my first flight and rebooking. That happened. And then, get on the phone. Luckily, phones work. If phones didn't work, I would have lost the money. Out there, sometimes you just don't know. But Verizon's pretty good. Not perfect, but it was pretty good. And I called the first flight, canceled it, and then the second flight, at some point, because the first flight was 7, and the second flight was 9:30, and thought, well, okay, I'll definitely make the 9:30 flight. Although, in a lot of ways, it was good I didn't, for several reasons. But yeah, at some point, it's becoming 8:15, and then I think we finally got through sort of at 8:30. The traffic finally, kind of passed the accident. But the road was closed, and then forcing people to turn. It was like just physically there was, I think, no way to get to the airport on time at that point anyway. And it would have just been stupid to try to get close and then have to miss it and then have to come home anyway. I'd considered just taking the third flight of the day. There were more flights that day, but they got progressively more expensive. My first flight was about $150. My second flight, $450. It would have been. But that got canceled, and when you get canceled, I get the credit back. So I didn't lose the money on those two flights. And the third flight that day would have been $650. And then also, yeah, these other flights were involved transfers in Dallas and like just losing the whole day at airports and on planes, and that just wasn't ideal. So back to the house we went. My friend had to go to work, so I just used the time to kind of like work on Spanish, relax, and try to do a little tanning, but yeah, that was difficult, and I felt maybe a bite or two. I thought, nah, okay, we'll cancel this. And I was actually about to take a nap. I thought, I'll get some rest because I'd been up since 4. And my time zone kind of was 2 a.m. But a friend turned out didn't have to work, so got to hang out and drive around. And the next thing you know, find the dog. So the rest of the evening became trying to find the owner of this dog. Really, really a sweet dog. This. Just a reminder of how caring and loving these animals. I think out of all animals, I would think the dog is the most just affectionate. This dog loved people, and we drove, or even driving around, every time you kind of got up to someone new, a stranger, the dog was just struggling to get out of the car because it wanted to go to meet the person. It was just amazing how much this dog cared. It's just a reminder that these animals, got to take care of them because they are so. Yeah, we kind of domesticated them to be so people-loving, and people need to love them back because that's why I can't get a dog right now. I just travel too much. We couldn't desert this dog every weekend, and that's unfortunate, but it's for the best for now. Anyway, the dinner was at Buffalo Wings, which I don't know if I've ever been to. At least I don't remember ever going there. I mean, they exist all over the place. It's just one of those restaurants I just never really go to. I like the wings though. I like chicken, but. Tried one of those hot ones, and man, I just burned. You just feel because the burning, attached, it binds to the molecules bind to your receptors, and they just don't leave. So once you start burning, it just gets worse and worse. And people like that, and it's fun, but it makes it hard to eat, even with the beers. It was tough, but it was a good night. It was actually that was why it was a good benefit. Got even more conversation and hang out with friends longer. And I wasn't really going to do much back home, so that worked out. Plus, the next flight the next day was actually cheaper. Not much. It was still like $350, $80. So, yeah, it was like more than the whole round trip cost, but these things happen. And once again, yeah, going to bed was incredibly easy because I was just so exhausted. The time difference, maybe, and just doing so much during the day, getting up so early the day before. So when 4 a.m. came again, I think I think I woke up pretty much at 4 a.m. and I think the idea was to get out at 4:15, which we left around 4:15, which was a good thing because same road, almost the same exact place. I mean, it's the same conditions. They had some fires that were going on, mixing with the fog, inversion layer, and whatever. Yeah, I got to the same place. It was slowing down. I thought, oh no, but it was moving. But maybe it might have been moving even too fast because, yeah, you get into this fog. And I mean, when you see the accidents that keep happening, you just think people drive too fast. And they do. Like some of the accidents suggested, they're going at such a fast rate for these cars to be, semis to flip over. I mean, you're not going 15 miles an hour and flipping your semi. But it does happen pretty quickly. You know, when you get in there, it's not like it's a mystery when you see fog, but it happens pretty fast where it goes down to zero. I mean, you can just barely see the ground in front, but you cannot see anything coming at you. So if you're going anything over like even 10, that's dangerous. It's just crazy how it just helps you understand that with these accidents, maybe not when they flip in semis, but when they do have anything happen, you just got to go real slow, especially these 70-car pileups, because I mean the same thing, every single person. I think one of the risks we're having is like when it's slowed down to like a stoplight, you can see the blinking lights of everyone. Hazard lights, but when you don't see someone behind you, that's probably the biggest concern, when you don't see the lights, because then you realize it's open, no one's a buffer, and someone coming along that's just deciding to go too fast in conditions, or they rear end you. So that was probably the biggest risk for probably about, 20 minutes, and that part really kind of sucked. But yeah, you get into this line where everybody's just kind of slowly moving, and that's the best part. But I would say within 20 more minutes, 15 minutes, they just closed the road. Just figured this is just way too dangerous. And maybe they did have some accidents I didn't see in the map. But yeah, you just gotta go slow on these roads. It's insane how bad it gets. I mean, it gets that way everywhere. But I think being next to swamps makes it even worse. And the smoke from a fire made it even worse. So they weren't kidding when they just, I don't blame them for closing these roads. It's extremely dangerous. And there's really just no... It's funny, we have all this technology, and yet that's something we don't really do anything about or don't, invest in, whatever, but it happens, and yeah, so lucky there. Missing another flight wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have sucked, and I would have stayed out there. I wouldn't have made my friend drive a third time out to the airport, because it's about an hour drive, so... I would have gotten. Even the night before, if I didn't get an invite to come back to the house, I guess I would have gotten a hotel and stayed there. But it was much better getting back to the house because I got another night of conversation and hanging out. And another reminder of how bad things could be was a tire that flew off a car and hit our truck, which was kind of scary. But it kind of sucks. You're just like it just really. Unfortunate, but on the other hand, that's the thing that can be a lot worse. I mean, you see a tire coming at you, and you may swerve, or the tire may go through the windshield. This is the type of thing where it sucks, but it's like sometimes you just think in time what would have happened if it went off a different way. It could have been fatal or caused another huge accident, and I think that's why a lot of accidents sometimes happen, if someone swerves or something like that. So it was unfortunate, but damage wasn't too bad, but it's still going to cost a little money, so I hated to see that. But, kind of thing, nothing can be done, and nothing really could have been done to prevent it either. So it just happened. It's unfortunate, but it happens. As for the flight, yeah, I got there plenty of time. I even got a recommendation that there was a Chick-fil-A there, and I thought, I was pretty hungry, a breakfast biscuit. In fact, I wanted the biscuit more than the chicken, but I got the chicken biscuit, and it was pretty tasty. And I prided myself from not finishing it all, just kind of, because it's a lot of calories, but I had probably about 85% of it. I just thought, okay, willpower, I need to build willpower, so stopping there, a little wasteful, I know, but I think I needed to do that. Needed to kind of demonstrate I am in control of what I eat. As far as the flight, I checked at the last minute, go to the front desk and just say, I just want to check on my ticket, and they said, okay, and they printed out the ticket. All right, I didn't need a printout of the ticket. I just wanted to know if there's been a change. No change. I had been first in line, because I lost my first class seat when I missed the other flight. The second flight, actually, I would have had middle seats, and it would have just been awful on American Airlines. But I didn't have that anyway, because that was a second flight I missed the day before. And then this flight, was in first place for an upgrade, and there were 2 seats left when I bought it. But then the next morning, I checked again, and I was in second place. So somebody else had bought a ticket that had higher status, so they bumped me down, which is, But then again, I bump people down sometimes. However, 2 people must have bought the tickets, so they were like, and I think the flight was close to sold out. So I just think someone just said, "I'll just pay the money." I mean, I think they were probably $400 a piece. Although then again, I paid like $350. I don't know what it was. Actually, last minute it was probably like $600 a piece. But anyway, someone bought the tickets. More power to them. If that's what I never buy these. Almost never. I did it twice this year, but now I never buy the tickets outright for first class. However, I did get a row. I mean, I was like seated, and then because I picked the row that had the least amount of people, even though it was like 15. I'm almost never that far back in the plane these days, and nothing wrong with that. It's just never am. But I sat in the row. I picked the aisle, and then just nobody ever. I was ready the whole time for people to get in the row. Nobody ever got in the row. They just kept not getting in the row. So at some point, then you start getting hopeful. It's like, okay, maybe no one is going to get in the row. And I didn't even post a photo until I was like sure. But as soon as they say we're closing the doors, I thought, yeah. And then I realized I have the whole row to myself, which has sometimes more advantages than the first class. So. Yeah, we kind of they did some seat like selecting because they had people like a lot of empty, well, not a lot of empty seats, but a fair amount of empty seats. You'd see one-on-one, no one in the middles. And yeah, it was not quite completely full, which is odd because it looked like it was going to be completely full. But I did see people, I see rows of 3, and I just think, I could just say to someone, hey, you want the, I'll take aisle, you take that. But I also thought I paid a lot of money for this thing, and I didn't get the first class. So I thought, now I'm going to enjoy the spoils. It was like a gift, so I'm going to enjoy this gift. And as soon as we, took off, I just, because you can raise the arms, and then I just light across the whole thing. And actually, I slept a fair amount, maybe 1 to 2 hours. So it's not the most comfortable sleep in the world, but it is pretty nice when you get to lie flat on an entire row. I'd miss those days because that used to happen once in a while in the past, especially during COVID, when flights weren't selling very much. So now I even had a row of 4 once where I just, put on a blanket, and it was great. Anyway, that worked out. The flight went by fairly fast because of that. And next thing you knew, we were landing. And I kind of thought, do I take Uber or do I save a little money? And I just thought, no, it's got to be Uber. I just want to get home. Uber's going to be like 30 minutes going to the train, and then with the walking, hour and 30 minutes. So I think sometimes it's worth the money. That time it was, but great vacation. Just a little longer than expected, but I could have planned it that long anyway, so it didn't have to be the time. So it was good. In fact, one of the best parts was just so much time being able to catch up and have conversations and talk. And yeah, that was really nice. So it's good to get away and got a little sunlight again. So because here, our sun is kind of going away for a while. But yeah, so I'm rested up, and I'm still planning the next trip next weekend. So that's why I can't get a dog yet. But I'm reminded that they're so cool. All right, cheers.